by what's not here than what is here, and particularly under center. That's going to be a big deal, and we're going to see exactly where this Penn State team is to start, because not only the players have changed, the coaching staff as well.
Christian Hackenberg moving on. We'll hear from him a little bit later on as he sets his sights toward the NFL. So the question now is, who's going to be the quarterback?
And I think the answer is going to be, in the short run at least, it's going to be Trace McSorley. Now, you saw McSorley at the end of the bowl game against Georgia, and he's running around and being able to make some plays, and he's got some toughness and some grittiness to him. He needs to develop some consistency. That's exactly what he's going to have to do starting here through the spring and working through. And he's also learning a new system. Joe Moorhead, the new offensive coordinator, comes in. That's going to take a little bit of time to put all these things together. McSorley, I think, has the opportunity to do that.
He's going to be working behind an offensive line that is going to be trying to find some new pieces and some consistency, and a defensive line that is trying to replace some big-time pieces that are gone.
Yeah, so you start talking about Carl Nassib gone, who'll be coming up in the draft, and Anthony Zettel gone, Austin Johnson's going to be gone. So what is it that they do have? Well, they're going to have to be able to develop a pass rush. You start talking about adding so many pieces to the puzzle, a lot of time you start talking about scheme, and that's going to be a big deal. Now, they do have a carryover in Sickles from a year ago. He's going to have to carry the flag early until they get this thing down. But this offensive line is facing the same type of problems. The inside guys are going to move a little bit. The tackles are intact, and that's good news, especially because what they have running the football behind them in Saquon Barkley is absolutely special.
After getting all of these days in this spring and all of the work, it gets to a culmination here today. The blue-white game is coming up next. Just moments ago, James Franklin leading his team out onto the field here at Beaver Stadium in University Park for the blue-white game. The end of spring practice for Penn State, and a chance for the fans to see what they've got as we move forward, what this team is going to look like for this 2016 season. Once again, a tremendous turnout today, and they were expecting that there could be as many as 65,000 people here. Actually, there could be as many as 80,000 people here, but some of them don't actually make it inside to the game portion of what it is that we're about to do here today.
Well, they came to play, that's for sure. And they got a beautiful day for it, because it's absolutely gorgeous.
Perfect weather conditions, and a fan base that just shows nothing but affection for this team over the years. It's got to be something you still feel today.
Yeah, they start talking about redoing this stadium. It's just been a great stadium. They've had great games up here, and I think they're going to end up probably redoing the stadium. But regardless of what they do, the fan base here has always been awesome.
Now, when this place is full, for a regular season game, for a Big Ten game, for one of those night games, I mean, just absolutely an electric building. As we said, they've been pretty fortunate in terms of the spring game and the weather they've had for the last couple of years. And another gorgeous afternoon here today. This is going to be a quicker football game than you might be used to seeing. That's for a lot of different reasons, not the least of which is that Penn State has a couple of guys that are nicked up right now and aren't going to be able to play in this game today. And in order to make sure that you preserve bodies here on what is basically the last day, the 15th day of spring practice, they're going to keep the clock moving as much as they can to move it along.
Yeah, and I think for the young players, that's kind of a good thing. And also for the guys, like a guy like Saquon Barkley doesn't really need to be out here. And I would suspect that we won't be seeing very much of him. Particularly, you might see him carry the ball a few times, maybe catch it a few times, and then he's gone. So it'll run its course, but it'll be run well.
Let's go down to the field now to Brian Tripp.
All right, thanks, Scott. We're here with Penn State head coach James Franklin. How has the team handled the transition so far this spring with the new offensive and defensive coordinator?
It's been really good. Defensively, we haven't changed our scheme. We've tweaked a few things. Offensively, it's been a dramatic change, but our guys have handled it really well. We've always taught football conceptually, so I think that helps because everybody's still running the same plays.
What do you want to accomplish on this gorgeous day here today?
Well, first of all, we looked at the Farmer's Almanac, and we planned this thing perfectly. But, yeah, we just want to have fun. We've had a great spring. We just want to stay healthy, go out, have some fun, and then get ready for the season.
Coach, enjoy it.
Thank you so much.
Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Brian. Taking a look at Tommy Stevens, who, along with Trace McSorley, is a guy who's gotten a lot of snaps over the course of this spring. McSorley, it would appear, junior out of Ashburn, Virginia, going to get the first opportunity A guy who certainly knows how to win. Led his high school team to 4 straight championships, 55 wins over that period of time.
It's interesting when you watch McSorley. He's got a kind of a grittiness to him and kind of a toughness to him that he won't kind of give up. And you saw that in the bowl game just at the end of last season. And there are parts of him that remind me of Matt McGloin. You know, McGloin had that same kind of thing. He just wanted to prove to you that he could do it all the time. And I think McSorley's got that same kind of characteristic.
Well, McGloin had himself some kind of year that he ended up parlaying into a NFL career. Here's the results from last year, a 7-6 season. The bowl game against the Georgia Bulldogs, wrapping things up. And obviously, when you start taking a look at who is on the schedule from where they are inside the Big Ten, this is not an easy place to play football.
No, it isn't. And the upcoming schedule is going to be a tougher schedule than what you're looking at on your screen. And so last year they had a front end that was, that was a kind of an easy schedule. This year they jumped right into it. So you got Kent State, and then you go right to Pittsburgh, Temple, who beat them a year ago. Michigan, same thing. Minnesota's always going to have a good football team. Maryland will be improved. Ohio State is Ohio State. Iowa, Indiana always plays well. They're better now. And you finish up there with Michigan State. Rutgers will be improved. So a lot of football to be played. You better. That man right there, Say Barkley. I said a year ago I thought he was probably, in terms of creating, I thought he was the best back in the Big Ten. Better than Elliott, because he could create. He didn't need help. He was a standalone guy. What I've seen from him in tape in the spring is a guy who has confidence, and it changes everything. He has the ability to run over guys, but now he's faster. He ran a sub 4.40. He's 224 pounds. This kid has greatness written all over him. I'm really anxious to watch the former Whitehall Zephyr from Copley, Pennsylvania. Of course, I went to that school.
I know that.
He's got a chance to be a great one, so I'm anxious to watch him develop.
Watching him develop and watching him today might be two different things.
That's
you see the numbers from last year. Better than 1,000 yards, almost 6 yards a carry, 7 touchdowns. Freshman of the year in the Big Ten, but on a day like today in the situation that we're in, I think it's generally accepted that we probably will not see him get a whole lot of carries.
If we see 2 or 3, that's a good day. But I'm going to tell you, I've watched every snap of scrimmages from spring on tape, and this guy's special. I mean, he's got it.
And so we get underway. It is 4 12-minute quarters. Time will stop in the first quarter. It will cease to stop in the remaining 3 quarters. This is an opportunity for the coverage teams to get down the field. And Brandon Polk not running it back out of the end zone because he doesn't have anybody blocking for him.
That'd be a tough way to go.
Yeah, 1
right
on 11,
there.
you're going to take quite a bit. So the white team will have the ball first. And that means that Tommy Stevens will get the first opportunity at quarterback. Stevens out of Indianapolis, an early enrollee last year. Finalist for Indiana Gatorade Player of the Year his senior year in high school. That play didn't get a whole lot of room, or net a whole lot, but it's Andre Robinson thrown now for a loss of a couple to start things off.
Yeah, the interesting thing here is going to see how fast this team, they're doing a lot of things different. One of them you're noticing right away. They're going to go with the fast pace. They're going to spread the defense out. Joe Moorhead, new offensive coordinator. There's a lot of new things going on here.
That was nearly a completion. On the near sideline, the ball thrown by Stevens. So when you start talking about the speed of plays, is this going to be, and the spreading of the field, is this going to be more like some teams have shown even in the NFL now?
Yeah, this is going to be what Oregon was running. And Joe Moorhead very familiar with it. It's going to take some time. Now the good news is conceptually they've been doing things that he can fit and work off of. And that doesn't look good there in terms of the offensive line.
A lot of pressure, and they were not going to allow Stevens to get hit. In fact, the quarterbacks are entirely off limits, which is always good news in a situation like this if you're a quarterback.
Yeah, but that's your starting. It looked like your starting offensive line. That's not a good sign. But, hey, that's the first one.
And once again, special teams today are merely an opportunity for a punter or a kicker to get a rep in. It's going to be the ball at the 30-yard line for the blue team now as they get their first offensive turn. Oh, it is McSorley now.
So McSorley will have the white jersey on with the blue team. That's differentiate in terms of color. And so actually the blue team is the team that would be first team defense and first team offense in terms of offensive line and players. So actually that first series was actually a good sign.
McSorley, a little shovel pass. And inside, Mark Allen, guy at 5'6", 181. Good yardage, gain of 7 yards on the shovel pass.
Quicker than a hiccup. They'll use him as a changeup with Say Barkley.
He also, for a guy his size, is a surprisingly good blocker in terms of pass protection. And McSorley getting the opportunity to run the offense. Gesicki's got a first down out to the 41.
Yeah, the tight end will be integrated a little bit more, especially with that kind of thing. The one thing that you don't see in this is a lot of the vertical throws down the field. It's a lot more short stuff. They will do it, but not as often as you'd like. Like a pro offense.
But if you start talking about it in those terms, for a squad that gave up more sacks than anybody in the Big Ten last year, that's good news because you're going to get a lot of quicker releases. You're not going to have the quarterback waiting to find an open receiver downfield.
And just the way this offense is run, because there's always a run threat in the middle of it, we have somebody down here on the defensive side of the ball at the linebacker spot.
Yep. Jason Brannick, junior out of Wheatfield, New York. Played the last 2 years at Erie Community College. Led the team in tackles the last 2 seasons. He's down, and it's like it's right leg as he's tended to now on the field.
And you can see the left side of your screen right there, right in the middle. And it looks like his knee just kind of collapsed, taking on that block. And that's Gaia, number 72, he's one of the holdovers who has to play well. He's one of your building blocks.
Back on the pole, what's the step?
Walking off gingerly, kind of under his own power.
Well, hopefully that's a good sign. Worst thing that can happen to you is getting hurt in these spring games. That's just brutal.
And that's, in a lot of ways, coach's biggest fears, too, because you're trying the best you can to protect your players. As McSorley fires close to first down yardage. It's like he's going to be about a yard shy as Blacknell hauls it in at the 50-yard line. Yep, that's going to be a yard shy of the first down.
So one of the things that's a strength for Penn State now is this receiving corps. And they have good speed. You saw Blacknell 13 and Godwin 12. There's some good players out there who can play. Deshaun Hamilton's still out there. You got guys who have speed, they have experience, and they'll be relying on that group a lot.
Another run, and Allen out of room. Inside the 40, another first down to the 37. 13 yards on a pickup.
And so Mark Allen, just in terms of vision, so if you see things collapse, he has the ability to be able to bounce it outside. And that's, it's exactly the same. It's the way it's designed. It's the way he's seeing things. I was impressed with this running back group because they were seeing things very well.
Right down the middle, and McSorley's got Gesicki again. That's going to be a first down to the 15-yard line.
Start talking about consistency from your quarterback, and you're seeing it early here. And so, keep in mind, this is base offense against base defense. They've been running these same plays against this look all spring long.
And looking in, that's going to be good for the touchdown. Chris Godwin from 15 yards out. And an impressive first drive for the blue team as they find the end zone midway through this first quarter.
That was nice by McSorley, because one of the things we said is, in terms of being consistent, you have to have accuracy. Regardless of, I don't know where you're at. That drive right there, very accurate. Ball was where it had to be. It was on time. He read coverage well that time. He had a safety dropping down and opened out inside to the post, and he hit it perfectly.
Tyler Davis will try the extra point. You talk about a throw not only being accurate but on time. How important is that in this offense?
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, timing is critical in any offense, but in this particular case, you see the safety dropping down. Now he knows his eyes are up. He knows he sees that safety. There's a void coming in behind it. So great awareness at the line of scrimmage. His eyes are downfield where they're supposed to be, and a quick decision. All those things add up to 6.
Godwin had 5 touchdown catches last year.
Yeah, this receiving core should be a group that carries them. And just watching them, one of the things they still have to work on is their ability to be able to affect defenders. Now, this offense, because of the quick pace, it kind of lessens that a little bit. But you still have to be able, as a receiver, to affect the defender in front of you to be able to make something happen.
I got to imagine for that young man, things feel pretty good coming out in front of the big crowd and having as effective a first drive, regardless of whether it's base offense against base defense, whether it's a spring game or not. That's a heck of a lot better than throwing a pick or overthrowing 2 receivers on your first drive.
Absolutely. You know, the thing that stands out to you with this receiving guy, take a good look at Godwin and Deshaun Hamilton. You can see their catches and, you know, all the yards and stuff. And what that means is experience. There's something there you can count on. And they'll be counting on these guys.
Also saw, as you said, the tight end get involved in that drive as well. And the tight end, just 33 catches for the tight end position for less than 300 yards for the entire of last season.
Yeah, and you know, that was a big departure from Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien loved to use the tight end. And you start getting tight ends involved, you start talking to have safeties having to cover those guys, which opens up your outside guys. I think Joe Moorhead is a big fan of getting the tight end back involved, and I think that's what they'll do.
Now Stevens brings the white team out for their second drive, starting from the 25-yard line. Midway through this first quarter. And the run again for Andre Robinson. Robinson was a tremendous runner at Bishop McDevitt. At better than 5,600 yards and 80 touchdowns in high school. He was breaking records that had been held by LaShawn McCoy. There's that blitz coming. And that's going to be good for first down yardage as Stevens just plows ahead to the 35.
Stevens used his feet a lot this spring. And he wasn't afraid to. He's got good confidence that way. His confidence in his abilities. And, you know, keep in mind now he's going against the first-team defense. This is the second-team offensive line. So if he's going to create, he's going to have to do a little creating by himself, which he just did.
Listed at 6'4", 211. Not sure about that 211. He's kind of a thin guy back there, but watching him in warm-ups threw a pretty ball. And once again, right there on the out pattern, out to the 42.
Yeah, Stevens spins it pretty well. The one thing you'll notice right away, so the ball's coming out quick. You see that? So the ball's in his hand, and he's looking exactly where he wants to go with it. And so he's already predetermined when he's seen the coverage. All those are good signs. There's another one.
Is this going to be the type of offense where there's also less of a premium going to be placed on arm strength for the quarterback?
No, not necessarily. I mean, any coach would want to take, you'll take a Brett Favre arm anytime you can get it. The problem is there's just not very many of them. This is predicated mostly on the run game. And so if you're giving numbers in the box, they'll take it outside right away.
Another hand for Robinson and a couple of yards out to the 49-yard line, give him a pickup of 3. So when you talk about this offense, it's based upon spacing in the field and numbers. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, numbers of how many guys you're counting down inside what they would call the box. And that's basically around the line of scrimmage. And so, with this offense right now, you see you have the 5 down linemen and the tight end. That gives you 6. And the quarterback is a runner, and the running back's a runner. So that gives you 8. So 8 guys. Now he's pushing it down the field, which you like to see.
Perfect throw. Dropped it right in the bucket. Unfortunately, couldn't quite hang on to it. Dwan Johnson had his hands on it. He was pressed up against the sideline but couldn't hang on.
Scott, that's a great throw. And this is nice. So he wants to take a shot. So his eyes are to the middle of the field, to outside. He knows he's one-on-one. And that ball was a great throw. Good defensive job right there by getting your hand in, but you couldn't ask for a better throw.
I don't know that you could have placed it any better.
So you look at your offense, okay, so now you got 6 people up front and your 2 guys, your quarterback and your running back. You have 8 guys potentially in that box versus 6. This is something you want to run at.
Under normal circumstances.
Under normal circumstances.
And now how much of that is Stevens gets, and I'm going to put up the air quotes here, sacked. How much of that is predicated on what the quarterback sees at the line, or is the coach making that call going in?
Well, no, it's still on the quarterback at the line of scrimmage. Now, there may be times when an offensive coordinator can get a defensive coordinator by formation into a specific defense. Then you might say, look, this is going to open right here. And then you'd look for that. But for the most part, the quarterback's using his eyes all the time.
Does that happen more at the college level than it does at the pro level?
It happens both. Yeah, it happens at both spots. A good offensive coordinator, if he can put that defense into a defense, you can maul him.
Tommy Stevens and his team trailing by 7 as there's a timeout on the field. About to come out for his second drive after leading his team downfield on an opening touchdown score.
Nothing helps a young player more than confidence. And nothing helps confidence than having early success.
Well, the success was pretty apparent on the opening drive. As we said, some very accurate, timely throws. Tommy Stevens has not had the exact same success, although he had a perfect ball that he threw downfield that got broken up on what could have been first and goal or maybe even a touchdown. Sorley out of the shotgun. Allen, that's a pretty move out in space. Not only 1, but 2. What about getting to the second level? He gets it to the 33-yard line for a pickup of 7. Let's check down on the field with Brian.
All right, thanks, Scott. We're here with San Francisco 49ers All-Pro linebacker Navarro Bowman. You were telling me before this is your first time back in 7 years, but you also have an interesting connection with James Franklin.
I do. I actually visited Maryland in 11th grade, and Coach Franklin was the first person to give me my first scholarship in 11th grade. So, for him to get hired at Penn State, I had to come back and support and just, let him know that Penn State is Penn State, and we're a family. We stick together. We have a strong tradition. He understands that, and he's going to get this program back to where it needs to be.
Well, you've had a prolific career so far. What would you give advice to a player? What advice would you give to a player if you were back here on the sideline today getting to talk to some of these Nittany Lions?
I'll just tell them, man, the football is one thing, man, but don't bank on it. The education, get your grades, make sure you graduate from Penn State. You cannot be denied if you have a degree from Penn State University. So, that's the main thing that I just try to emphasize, because, you can kind of hop on football so much and, and let the grades kind of slip. But, I witnessed that, having my degree is the best thing I could have done.
Well, he's one of the longtime members of this linebacker U tradition here, Navarro Bowman. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Navarro Bowman with us. Back up to Scott.
That's some pretty good advice from Navarro Bowman about making sure while you're participating in football, you're keeping your head in the books as well. And once again, blue team moving downfield quickly. This has been an impressive showing from Mark Allen. Again, moving hard to bring down as he gets it to the 30. That's another first down.
Well, I can't decide right now if it's a good job by the offensive line or a poor job by that defensive front. And so what you really are going to have to look at is schematically what's happening. So that's a draw fake, and they're trying to draw the people up the field, and they do. But nice seal off back inside, and Allen's able to take advantage of it. This white team could use Navarro Bowman.
Could probably use Matt Millen.
I'll take Navarro Bowman in a heartbeat.
That throw to the far side is going to be intercepted. The first mistake for McSorley. Amani Aronwaye with the interception down at the 15-yard line.
Yeah, and so he has him. He just doesn't track him. The ball just thrown a little bit, and Aronwaye just, Johnny on the spot throws it right to him. The protection was decent. Just this is that inconsistent part that I was talking about. It showed up in spring practices.
was just an errant throw on the part of McSorley, so.
And it happens.
Yep. White team takes over at the 14-yard line now. Stevens another opportunity. And he has looked good in terms of releasing the ball. That's Garrity with the catch, and it's going to be a catch for a loss.
Greg Garrity, of course, he was here in '82 national championship team. And that's his son here playing now, same position as a wide receiver.
Grandfather Jim played at Penn State as well. Second down and 11. Clock winding down on this first quarter as we come up on a minute left to go. Once again, Stevens is showing the ability to take the ball, take it down, and run with it.
And I think that's going to be something you see from any quarterback who's going to play for Penn State this year. If the opportunity's there, they're going to take it. Anytime defensively, when you have to start to account for the quarterback's feet, that causes another defender into the mix, and that's a plus for the offensive side.
Well, this offense, when it's worked at any level, has had a quarterback that can move. Flag down on the play. First one we've seen as, once again, Stevens has first down yardage. We're going to have to wait for the officials' call here. 29 seconds left here in the first quarter.
You won't be hearing much from the officials, mostly because we didn't give them a mic.
Now he seems to have one on. He's told the stadium it's holding on the offense.
Yes. That was the right tackle. Connor McGovern there, number 66.
From out of Larksville, Pennsylvania. It's back to the 9-yard line. And it's going to turn this into a third down and 15 yards to go now.
Pass rushing time.
Here they come. Got away.
That was poor by McGovern. He opened up the gate. His steps at the right side, not very good. Didn't get his hands on him. And Evan Schwann just started up to the outside, just jumped right inside. That's too easy. There you go. See how he opens up the inside? Nothing there.
Yeah.
Schwann would have had the sack. Would have been a safety, actually.
Cothran was right behind him, too. You had two guys that had broken through, and yeah, it would have been a safety.
I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Navarro Bowman. Scott, I got to tell you, Navarro Bowman, before he got hurt, and he came back after this past season and made the Pro Bowl again, but it was the finest linebacking play that I have seen, and I've studied it all, that I have seen since Willie Lanier and Butkus.
Wow.
That's how good he was playing. Better, you can name, I don't care who, you name them all. You could go name Singletary, you could name Urlacher, you could name Lambert, you could pick them. It didn't make a bit of difference. Navarro Bowman was playing phenomenal football. Standalone football that you don't find anymore.
That is saying an awful lot.
I was really impressed, and I didn't really like him here at Penn State. He's an outside guy, kind of smaller. He was playing amazing football.
By the way, that wasn't almost a safety. It was a safety. If you look at the score, it's now 9-0. And the kickoff with blue team kicking to blue team. It's just one of those charming looks that you get on the football field for a spring game that you don't see all the time. Big crowd here today on a perfect day. And as we said, they love coming out to watch the Nittany Lions play. Today, 66 degrees and just a glorious day driving up here. I get the impression that this football game is just merely a stop along the way for the rest of the weekend.
I think you might be right. What a great crowd. What a great day.
When you played spring football, was anybody coming out in droves to watch it? Were TV cameras there?
That's so long ago, I can't remember.
Did they play spring games back then?
We did have. I tried to get out of it as much as I could.
Ball back for the blue team now. Closing seconds of this first quarter. And once again, Deshaun Hamilton, who had a pretty catch and run on the last drive, is going to get a first down here out to the 37 on what will be the last play of this first quarter. So Trace McSorley with a touchdown pass, also an interception. and his defensive unit of the blue team getting him on the board as well with a safety. 9-0. Blue team on top of the white through one period here at Penn State. Hundreds of non-televised events, then enjoy them on more platforms wherever you are. Get BTN Plus now, available on BTN to go. Gorgeous spring day, and wait, who's that guy?
That is one ugly individual.
Pretty good player.
That was fun while it lasted.
Impact player who then went on to, how many Super Bowl rings you got? 4?
Yeah, I gave them to the kids. They won't give them back. Yeah, it's interesting because those teams that were on, those were great football teams. We had a lot of great players. I was happy to be part of some great guys. That was fun.
They start the clock, and the clock is not going to stop now here in the second quarter as McSorley is back to the outside. Blacknell makes his third catch.
Scott, one of the things we're talking about is people have to be replaced on the defensive side. They just introduced Carl Nassib in our break. And Nassib had a great senior season, and they'll miss him. They're going to miss that pass rushing and his ability to just keep on. He was relentless. And two of my former teammates, he has 2 of their awards, the Lott Impact Trophy. Ronnie Lott, of course, I played with in San Francisco. And Ted Hendricks. Ted Hendricks was a Hall of Famer and a great, great player. And I just had a chance to talk to him yesterday, and we were talking about Ted Hendricks, and they're very similar. They're similar in their builds.
Build, yeah.
Yeah, Carl's bigger. Carl right now is 280 pounds. Ted, when I played with them, was about 260, but he came into the league at 220. But similar in playing styles because they were relentless. It'll be fun to see what happens to him in the draft. I think he'll do well at the next level.
Sharif Miller right in front of us, or right in front of that shot. Not exactly sure what it was that got him. He gets up under his own power. I already lied, told you we weren't stopping the clock, but they did, of course, with a injury.
Of course, Sharif's a Philadelphia kid, and they like what they've seen out of him. And so there's a lot of room for him to improve. Just a freshman. And 245 pounds. He'll mature physically, and he has some good skills that they can build on.
Now, as with any high school player that's coming in, for the most part, even high school players who do a good job of making sure that they eat the right things or that they work the weights as well as they can. As you see the switchover now happening for blue and white, as is going to happen in this game. But high school players, they get to the college level and they find out that this is an entirely different level in terms of training.
Well, it is, and your body's undergoing a lot of change. I mean, guys start to mature and they start to develop, and it's amazing. Like Navarro Bowman, he's 218 pounds here at Penn State, and I saw him out at training camps one year. I'm like, who's that guy? Looked like Hercules. And he played like Hercules. So, I mean, guys are developing, and so it's an interesting time here. I've seen guys come in at 200 pounds and go out at 300 pounds, and all good weight. So they do a great job in the weight room up here in their strength and conditioning program. To be fair, it's like that all over because guys are they're blooming.
It's Torrance Brown, I believe, who got the white jersey to replace the blue jersey, and Mark Allen, who's gotten the bulk of the carries, as Saquon Barkley has not played in this game, gets another first down into the white team's territory.
Yeah, I remember last year when Mark Allen got in, he took advantage of every time he was in. He made a couple of great plays early. He's not a real big kid. He's hard to see, and he has great quickness and good vision. So there's a role for him everywhere. Right there, you just saw him pick up the blitz from the outside.
And the throw complete. Hamilton gets the foot in for first down yardage, so a nice job by McSorley of avoiding the rush and finding the open receiver.
And a nice job by Mark Allen. See him on the top side, he's picking up the blitzer, free blitzer, and he just stays in front of him, does a nice job, and Hamilton comes down with 6.
I told you, even at 5'6", 181, one of his strengths is being able to block and protect the passer. That's Godwin. on the far side and to pick up down to the 22.
We talked a little bit earlier about the passing game and a lot of quick stuff coming off, play action, that type of thing. Joe Moorhead standing there to the right, your offensive coordinator. You'll see a lot of those throws. Not as many shots down the field, but they'll happen as this offense develops.
McSorley floating one toward the end zone. Great adjustment to the football on the touchdown. Blacknall makes the catch in the near side of the end zone. He adjusted beautifully. That ball that wasn't quite where he thought it was going to be. Second touchdown pass for McSorley here in the game.
Yeah, McSorley throws it where the defender isn't, and that's a good sign. And so you can see he's kind of directing with that ball, and watch how he adjusts right at that last second. So the defender's back was to the quarterback. He throws it to the outside, and it's 6 quick.
Got to imagine the head coaches like what he has seen in large part here over the course of this 1 quarter plus out of a young man who might very well be his starting quarterback when the season begins. Once again, it's Davis for the extra point. And it's now a 16-0 lead for the blue team over the white. Matt, you mentioned the fact that there's been a lot of changes here, not just in the personnel on the field, but in the coaching staff as well.
Yeah, there's a couple significant ones. Brent Pry, you can see the second name from the top. He's now the defensive coordinator. Joe Moorhead, the offensive coordinator, comes over from Fordham. Brent Pry, of course, hadn't been here. Charles Huff, Tim Banksy comes in from Illinois, defensive coordinator. Now he's a safeties coach, an assistant. Matt Langgrover was the offensive coordinator up at Minnesota. Now he's coaching the offensive line. So there's some good coaches in there. I like Sean Spencer. I think they do a nice job. But I think significantly, which nobody has really talked about, because you have all that experience, and there are guys in there who have been head coaches, there are guys who are offensive coordinators calling plays. There's a lot of experience in that one room. And all those things can do nothing but help James Franklin and his group. There's a lot less things to have to worry about, and a lot of guys that you can go to say, hey, what about this? We've done it this way. Have you tried it this way? Those are all good additions.
You talked a lot about as the offense progresses and as they're able to do things, there'll be more shots downfield, that type of thing. How long does that type of thing take with regard to a new offense like this one? And now you're talking about 15 practices in the spring. Do you have enough time to really get a grip on it before the season starts?
Well, no, you don't. Not before the season starts. It'll still be developing as it goes. Now, here's the good news. The concepts that James Franklin had put in previously, there a lot of that. There's some West Coast concepts in there, and they have carried over into Moorhead's offense. Joe Moorhead has used the same type of thing, so the learning curve was less in that regard. And it was one of the things that we talked about a couple days ago, that he thought that the teaching curve was actually, it's been going a little faster and better than he thought it would.
Up from the 25-yard line. And the white team continuing to struggle to try to run the ball. That's good news. Taking a look at the starters of the blue team who have been able to help step in, fill some running gaps. Kevin Givens with that tackle.
And what you're also seeing is you still don't have the depth that we had, that most teams, an established team, would have. So you're still probably a year or two away on that.
Once again, Stevens showing some quick feet, and that's his option in the backfield as to whether to hand to Robinson or keep it himself when he gets positive yardage out near the 28.
That's all numbers in the box, and then it's on the quarterback's eyes. See how his eyes are up and looking downfield? As soon as that safety goes to the outside, he's taking it right up inside. So at the most, he might pick up maybe 5 or 6 yards, but maybe it breaks. You never know.
Of course, if you're running this offense and you're Marcus Mariota back at Oregon, it breaks.
Exactly. Not a lot of him around.
No. It's going to be a sack. He got rid of that ball, but it had already been touched.
There's Sickles, Garrett Sickles. We were talking about him at the start. One of the guys who's going to have to carry the flag. Now, he flashed last year a few times, and he's got some skills. He has good, his first 2 steps, his get off is pretty good. He has to work on his lean a little bit as a pass rusher, but I think he's better now than he was a year ago, and I think you'll see some good stuff.
Had a good game last year at Ohio State. The ball goes over the other way now, and that quickly. We're already better than 4 minutes into this second quarter. Once again, the blue team will have the ball back. Trace McSorley working with what at this point, as scoring goes in spring games, is a pretty big lead at 16-0.
It's what you would hope to expect if you're a Penn State fan. You see Paris Palmer there, number 73. And they've been moving him back and forth. And I had a chance to do a little studying on him this past week. And he's got great skills and assets. I don't know if he understands what he has. He has great length, Scott. And at times he becomes a leaner. So he lets a guy get into him. And he has such long arms, and he's improved strength. And so there's a guy they have at the right side. They had him on the left side also in the spring. But there's a guy that if he uses his assets and Matt Limegrove, the new offensive line coach, works with him and gets his technique down, he possesses some physical skills that you just can't find. He just needs to develop them.
Started 11 games last year. 6'7", 302, and he said that great length.
Good pickup.
Yep, great pickup on the blitz, and apparently he was touched up just across the line of scrimmage.
There's Matt Limegrover. He was the offensive coordinator at Minnesota. Actually had a couple of games that I watched of him. I thought he called great games. He kept things close, understood and knew what he had, what he didn't have. Put his defense in good positions. So I think that's a solid sign.
So third down and long now. And this is a different scenario in this offense. Nobody likes third and long. That crossing pattern is there. That's going to be a first down. Nice run after the catch by Hamilton. Knew where the stick was and gets it there to move it forward.
Two ways to use your speed. You can run vertically down the field, or you can run across the field. A lot of times when you run across the field, it's always going to take time. You see Paris Palmer, nice job of getting his hands on him and getting him time to be able to find the receiver coming underneath with Hamilton, but Hamilton does a nice job of losing the defenders inside.
Mark Allen in the backfield again. First down for the blue team with 5.5 to go here in this first half. And, you know, once again, that's a straight read on the part of the quarterback, and in this case, it's a loss of yardage. That's not how you expect this type of an offense to work, that you're going to get situations where the quarterback decides to run and loses yardage, because normally he's in a good, he sees the look and he realizes he's got room to run.
Yeah, well, he ended up running that right into a blitz. They brought two right into him. So numbers-wise, he was dead from the start.
So does that mean bad decision on his part?
Yeah, that could just be, you know, that could be from the sideline saying, you know, we're running this against this look or whatever it is.
Blacknall, who's been very active here in this game in the first half, kind of running backwards after the catch and ended up losing yardage from where he initially caught the ball.
So a lot of this stuff here, Scott, is the players have to learn. Like I said, it's a big learning curve. So when things are coming in, you have to know what to anticipate, what to look at, you know, all that type of stuff. From the quarterbacks to your wide receivers to your linemen inside. So there's a lot of kinks to still work out. We'll see him.
Robert Windsor saying, hey, wait a minute, I didn't go, I'm not offside. I got drawn offside. Officials disagree. No, it was not me.
It's usually the case.
His head slumped down, his shoulders slumped over.
He's tired right now. Best way to get over being tired is make a play in the back foot.
And all of a sudden you just have some spring in your step.
You feel really good, yeah.
That changes things up. And it makes it a third down and short now for the blue team. Call it 2. And right through the middle. Little guy Mark Allen's got another first down. Check in once again with Brian down on the field.
Thanks, Scott. Down here with Austin Johnson, who's preparing for the NFL draft, defensive tackle. What has that process been like for you getting ready for the draft?
It's been great. I've been training down in Pensacola, and I was fortunate enough to be training with Carl and be lucky enough to train with him. And, it's been a long process, but looking back on it, it's been real quick and real smooth. It's been cool just meeting a bunch of guys and meeting with teams and coaches. And it's been a really cool process.
You played with a very talented defensive line here last year, played in front of these fans. What are you going to miss about playing at Penn State?
The fans, man, it's just every time you make a play or every time something happens, you hear that roar, and, I'm going to miss the fans, miss my boys. It's going to be, it's kind of hard standing here and watching them play and not being on the field. It's my first time being here and not being on the field, so it's kind of weird, but I'm happy for them, and I'm just going to come back and watch them as much as I can.
Well, good luck in a couple weeks.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Austin Johnson with us here. Back to Scott.
It's a good look from the outside once again for Allen out of the backfield. Got a lot of that yardage back. When you're a player who plays in this atmosphere and in front of these fans and this fan base and the electricity here, then things switch up and you go to the National Football. Totally different mindset and feel, isn't it?
And different crowds, completely different crowds. And so, there's Penn State's unique. Penn State has an SEC feel about it. And they love their football. Their educated fan base. They know what they're looking at. That doesn't exist all over the place.
It's going to be another first down for Allen. He's having a big first half. Down to the 27.
I thought Austin Johnson, I thought, had an outstanding season. And they had, here he is, 99. He'll be the first one to go of the Penn Staters. You see Anthony Zettel as well. He'll be the first guy drafted. Probably go like second round, and then the guys will come off the board. So you see Zettel's there as kind of a tweener. Hackenberg's the guy who's kind of been a little polarizing right now, just in terms of which Christian Hackenberg is. I happen to fall into the school of I don't make a mistake and wait on him. If you like him, you better go get him, because he has things you can't teach, and all those other things you can teach. So you better go get him, and he's smart on top of it.
Godwin, that catch down to the 2-yard line, and stop trying to get in is Allen. Minute and a half left here and a half. So what you're saying is that Hackenberg has things that an NFL team can work with, especially if he's in a situation where he is a developmental quarterback.
Yeah, let's be fair. So this offense wasn't the best offense for him, and James tried to make it work with the kind of offense he wanted to run, as opposed to what Hack was probably best at. And so, look, it happened, and it's on, and they move on. So I think the next level, I think you're going to see the best of Christian Hackenberg. I say that because he has a big arm. He has a very good mind. He sees things very well. He's very coachable. His physical skills, the things that he was struggling with, those are things you can get out. You can get a guy out of that. It's going to take some work, but he's a guy who's willing to do it. I think there's two schools of thought on him right now. Some of them will watch the tape and can't get over it. And I've had scouts call me saying, this guy has great skills. And he does. You can't deny them. There are times when he looked like a first-round pick, looked like a top 5 pick. There's other times you look at him like, what's wrong with your feet? What are you doing? So that's why he's been so polarizing.
Good skills, a big arm, and coachable. You put those three things together, and that normally spells somebody who can have success at that level.
Yeah, and here's the thing. So he did have success. Coach Bill O'Brien was here, and then when James came, it's a different style, a little bit different, and he probably hit a little bit of a sophomore slump, and then a little bit better last year, but it wasn't the same. And in fairness, they struggled up front. They had some problems, but he also struggled. And if you talk to Hack, he'll tell you that. I got a kick out of, I saw some articles recently saying how he was throwing some of the guys under, but that's not Hack. I got it. So I always, when I read those articles, I always look for specifics. And when you don't see specifics, then you usually have rumor. So I think Hack will be just fine.
And we're going to find out in less than, or right around 2 weeks from now.
Right.
Depending upon which part of the draft he's selected in. I would imagine it would probably be at second day. We'll see. Second down and goal. McSorley throwing for the touchdown. Good choice.
Good choice, and he forced the choice, or he created the choice by that pump fake. The pump fake drew the defender to him, and then he threw it over the top. And that's that kind of competitiveness, that kind of Matt McGloin piece that he has and possesses, and I think it's a good piece. I think it'll serve him well.
Tom Pancoast out of Westchester, Pennsylvania with the touchdown. And he's got 7 sisters. 2 are former members of the track and field team here at Penn State.
I have 7 sisters.
You do?
Yeah.
And you're here, huh?
Yeah, they were the toughest ones in the
So you're telling me that look that we saw on your face in that old film, you came by that honestly?
Absolutely.
Here's your numbers on McSorley.
McSorley's used his feet well. See how he drew the defender up? That was smart. Nice move by him.
Yep. I would say all in all, a very successful, and likely I would imagine that's his day. First half, you would think, right?
He had great success in high school. They won all the time. And I think you either have that or you don't have that. Some guys just know how to get the job done, know how to win. I think McSorley has a little bit of that in him, and I think he'll capitalize on that.
Now, I'm not trying to draw comparisons, so before you jump on me, but there are guys that they say, you know, they're not as tall. They don't have as big an arm. They used to say that in the NFL about Drew Brees all the time.
Right. Yeah.
How'd that work out?
Yeah, it worked out pretty good for Drew, huh?
Now, I'm not comparing him to Drew Brees.
No, I get that. Look, McSorley's on the front end of hopefully a nice career. And so he's learning. He's learning a new offense. He's learning coaches. Coaches are learning him. And it's a steep learning curve, and he's going to have to be ready right away because that schedule is not an easy schedule.
We talked about that earlier. I'm sure we'll get back to it later on in the second half. At Ashburn, Virginia.
Right down there in Redskin country.
Yep. Himself a big bowl game. House had himself a very pleasant last day of spring practice here in the blue-white game.
Yeah, he went pretty solid through the spring. I said I watched all their snaps of scrimmage. You'd like to see consistency, but I think he's been pretty consistent here in this first half here. One bad throw. Other than that, he's used his feet well. His eyes have served him well. And they moved the ball.
To be completely honest, Stevens has been pretty impressive too, but he's been ducking and running more because of pressure and not having open receivers than he actually has been throwing the ball since that first drive. Got himself a first down there. That's going to move the sticks. They do stop the clock to move the sticks. Give him an opportunity to try to put a drive together here in the final 30 seconds of this first half. Stevens again in some trouble, and it really isn't a whole lot you can do about that.
Yeah, so he's trying to push the receivers down the field. Looked like Torrance Brown came around on a twist from the outside. Right defensive end came back up on the inside.
So now, timeout taken as the white team is going to try to see what they can do about getting a score before halftime. But your coach coming up in that situation, what are you telling your quarterback that he needs to be looking for as opposed to what he ended up doing?
Well, the biggest thing there is he's going to have to feel that rush. I think that it's a little bit of a change this year in terms of how they're working their protections, and so I think the protections are coming from the quarterback this year, and so you have to have an awareness of what's out there and how they can attack the protection. That's the first thing. You already know what your routes are, so if they're deeper, you're going to have to buy a little time if something like that happens. I don't know what he was talking to him about there. But know this, that the whole thing is still part of a big learning curve. Interestingly, it's a new offense for James Franklin as well. So, you know, he's handed it over to Joe Moorhead, so he's learning a lot of this stuff too. Same concepts at times, but still learning.
A little throw and catch. Jonathan Holland makes the play out the 32-yard line, and there's your quick timeout again with 16 seconds to go here in his first half. BTN has you covered for spring football. Our experts breaking down our game as well as all the other Big Ten spring football action. The Big Ten Spring Football Report tonight 9 p.m. Eastern on BTN and BTN to go. I don't have to break it down. You've taken care of all of it so far.
Oh, yeah. Joe Moorhead has been interesting. You know, he was the head coach at Fordham. They had great success. And prior to that, he was with Randy Edsel up at UConn. He was their offensive coordinator, and they had some good offenses. And they did some good things. And so he's evolved as a coach as well. And I think that's a good get for this offensive staff.
Stevens gets away from trouble, trying to see if he can guide a receiver downfield, and ends up bouncing it behind Garrity's intended receiver with 9 seconds now left in the half.
Of course, he takes over for John Donovan, who's now down with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so, you know, there's a lot of stuff to learn. Both those guys, that's Matt Langgrover on the right and Joe Moorhead there on the left. And, you know, it takes a while for a staff to kind of get on the same page.
There's your punt on what will be the last play of the first half, I believe. Just got to run those last 2 seconds? I don't think so.
No, but just speaking to James Franklin about that, he thought that these hires were great fits. He thought that this staff is gelling pretty darn fast, and he was very comfortable with how far they'd come in just a short period of time. So that's a good sign.
So the hope is that it all comes together now that you've got all of this tape of what has happened over the course of the spring. Let's take it down to Brian.
All right, thanks, Scott. We're here with Joe Moorhead, offensive coordinator. Trace McSorley put up good numbers in the first half in the quarterback competition. What ultimately is going to separate either himself or Tommy Stevens?
You know, the ability to lead the offense and score points and minimize turnovers. So, you know, that's a big thing. These guys got to make good decisions. They got to press the tempo. When they get an opportunity to make a play, they got to make it and avoid turnovers. So I thought, you know, for our first time in live action, the guys did a pretty decent job.
And that word tempo is something that's been discussed a lot around here. How have the players handled the tempo that you're trying to install?
I think it was kind of a new concept to them initially, and you know, they struggled a little bit just because of the pace and the speed with which the operation was kind of moving. But as spring ball progressed, I think they caught up to it, and I think they've done a very good job.
Coach, thanks.
Thank you.
Joe Moorhead with us down here on the sideline. Back to Scott.
Now the new offensive coordinator watching a lot of things work the right way, especially with the blue team on the field. 3 touchdown drives in that first half. McSorley leading them all and throwing all the touchdown passes. 23-0, the blue team on top here at halftime.
Tremendous faith in Coach Spencer. He's done a good job. All 5 years we've been together developing guys, and we'll be where we need to be.
Well, just one half of a spring practice left. Thank you.
All right.
Brent Pry with us down here on the sideline. An Altoona native, not from far away. Scott?
Well, Brent Pry gotten a lot of opportunity to see a lot of tape over the course of the spring. Looks like the quarterback's going to be back on the field once again for this second half. When you start talking about what the coaches do now out of this spring practice season, at the end of this spring game, the blue-white game, where do they go from here?
Where do they go from here is just trying to work closely with their guys and build off of what they did in the spring. And so the first thing they'll do is they'll break down all the tape and all, you know, and they're always going to have their recruiting assignments and all that kind of thing. But the most important thing for them now is to develop these players. This is what they have. This is going to be the base of what they have, and they need to get them better. Now, you're limited in terms of time, but they'll do the best they can with it.
Is seeing them 15 times in this situation and now getting an opportunity just one time live here out in front of a crowd, is that enough to be able to have a handle on what it is that you do have?
Yeah, you can get a pretty good idea. Now, don't forget, now there's a carryover from the fall, and through all season they watch these kids. Some of them developed quicker than others, but now they've had an opportunity for an off season in terms of the weight room, seeing guys get bigger, faster, stronger, And now you put him here, you have 15 practices to be able to work with him, go through all the tape and all that kind of stuff. Now, Brent Pry, you mentioned he's from Altoona. He's an Altoona kid. But he's been around coaching world a while. And one of the guys who has influenced him quite a bit is Bud Foster, the defensive coordinator down at Virginia Tech. And when you start talking about Bud Foster, as soon as I say that name, I start thinking of blitzes and man coverage and zero. You know what I mean? That's just what he does. And I think you'll see some of that with Brent Pry's defense this year.
First play now, this second half. Andre Robinson wearing the blue jersey, getting that shovel pass out to the 32. It's going to be a pickup of 7 yards. So you got strength in the defensive backfield. Does that help so that you can try that type of a defense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you're really going to see, Christian Campbell comes back healthy. I think that helps them. And I think when you have Christian Campbell, then you have guys like John Reed, who had a good year a season ago. You can put him in. I was watching. They have him in the slot, and he's a natural slot fit. Those guys are hard to find. Nickel guys are hard to find. So I think their secondary with the corners and Reed helps them a lot. You still have Marcus Allen coming back, having had a good year a year ago. I think their secondary is going to be good. I think this linebacker core, when you get Bell back healthy and Naeem Wortman-White back healthy, and then you have Kabinda in the inside, I think all those guys help a lot. The up front guys, that's going to be the key.
After a catch for Polk and a trip up, Godwin can't quite hang on to that pass down just outside the 45-yard line. It falls incomplete.
The offensive line, of course, is going to be the other piece. They struggled a year ago. Part of it is going to be scheme, and part of it is going to be development, and it's always the way it is. And so Matt Linegrover, the new offensive line coach, he's got some work to be able to do. But a running quarterback and this kind of offense kind of slows things down a little bit and could help them.
On second down, we've seen the tight end involved a little bit more. Gesicki making his third catch of the ball game. And out to the 48-yard line for a pickup of 4.
I think that's an untapped position for this offense. I think you can get that involved and start eating up safeties and linebackers, and that just helps with the rest of your receivers down the field.
How different is what Chip Kelly was running at the NFL level than what he was running at the collegiate level?
Oh, I mean, it was like night and day. Yeah. Chip pared that thing way back. It can't work. I shouldn't say that. The parts of it will work in the National Football League. It's just you can show the NFL. It'll go around for maybe a month, and then they know it. Once they know it, it's over. So you better have something else. And so you can do that for maybe a year or so. It's just tough. If you look at Chip's offense at the end, as opposed to what he's trying to do in the beginning, it's two completely different offenses.
Totally changed over the course of the 3 years in Philadelphia.
And he had to.
After that first down, and throw downfield, and Tompkins was already out of bounds as he was making that catch on the ball thrown by McSorley. Second down coming up.
So if you're a Penn State fan, you're sitting at home, you're saying, okay, though, what's the biggest difference I'm going to see here? Now, you're going to see a lot more quarterback movement is what you're going to see. Hack was a pocket guy, and he was most comfortable there, and that's how they designed things, to be frank with you. And so McSorley is a guy who can get out of that pocket, move around, throw on the run, and do those things, and they'll integrate that into this offense. So you'll see a lot more busted kind of plays like a night at the Improv more than you have seen in the past.
Well, hopefully as a fan you're comfortable with that kind of thing. Yeah. Robinson down to the 35. That's going to be good for first down yardage.
Well, critics of that would say, that's fine when the weather's good. What happens when it's freezing cold out here? What happens when you're throwing in freezing rain and the wind's blowing and all that kind of stuff?
I think those critics are asking a very good question.
Yeah, and they are. And to be fair, I don't know what the answer is, just because there are some guys who can handle it and some guys who can't. And we'll find out what we have here.
Another good blitz pickup, and that pass a little bit high, nearly picked off.
Okay, that's the second errant throw that we've seen out of McSorley. The first was a pick. The other one is right there. Now, you're going to have that, so it's not like it's the one thing you want to see out of your quarterback when you have an open guy, you got to make that throw. Pack struggled with that a little bit last year and some things. And so you just want to see consistency.
When you picked up the blitz and the receiver Tompkins sits down in the right spot, yeah, you got to hit him.
Yep.
Changing this one from the sideline now.
That's the biggest change I've seen in the last 30 years is football is now all from the sidelines and not from the field.
Shorely stepped up nicely, beautifully, in time and in rhythm to Tompkins for the touchdown.
That's the best play he's had all day. He looked outside, didn't see it, saw the receiver break to the inside, forces the pocket, and throws a dime. That's an outstanding play. And the more he plays and the more comfortable he feels and the more confidence he gets, you'll see more of that.
Yep, feeling good when you throw touchdown pass number 4 in one afternoon. That was a play that showed a lot of awareness of what was going on around him. Just simply didn't rush it at all.
Right.
30-0, blue team on top now. McSorley with 4 touchdown passes on the day.
Yeah, this is nice. See his eyes? He sees it the whole way, waits for it to develop, gets back inside, throws a strike. Well done.
Development of a young quarterback going on here in the spring at Penn State. Well, the conversation on the sideline is always going to be of a very pleasant nature when you've got yourself 4 touchdown passes on the day and you're just coming off your best throw and best field awareness of the day for Trace McSorley.
You know what I really like about that shot right there? The quarterback and the play caller have to have the same eyes. You have to see the same thing, speak the same language. You start a sentence, the quarterback finishes it. The quarterback starts a question, he has the answer before he's done. When that happens and you're in sync and you're on the same page, then you have a chance to do some really good things. That's the start of something nice right there.
It's nice to hear out of a defensive-minded guy.
I hated those guys.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was right underneath on the surface.
I was being as kind as I could be, geez.
Let's go down to Brian Tripp.
All right, thanks, Scott. We're here and we're going to change sports for a moment. Tim Frazier is on my left. We'll start with him, former Penn State point guard. Just came off a tremendous end of the season with New Orleans Pelicans. How do you describe the last few months for you and now you go into free agency?
Oh, man, it's been a whirlwind, but, it's been great. It's been an awesome opportunity to go down to New Orleans and play and try to help those guys win. So, man, I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. I'm enjoying it.
Well, he laid a foundation here for the Penn State basketball program, along with the likes of DJ Newbill and our next guest, Shep Gardner, who goes into his junior season. Exciting times here, a lot of new faces coming into the program. What's it like right now, the basketball program at Penn State?
It's going great. We're going in the gym, we're working hard. We're just trying to get better, get ready for next year. Get ready to teach these young guys how to work.
Play football at all?
Not at all, never.
Shep Gardner and Tim Frazier with us here, talking a little basketball back upstairs.
He seems pretty happy about the fact that he never played football, and,
That's because he plays hoops pretty well.
Yeah.
They do a nice job, I think.
Did you play hoops?
No. Are you kidding me? The close thing I did there was eat the free food. That was about it. Here you go. He's Shep. Shep can shoot.
Yeah.
Shep's in control. Thing I love about, we've got to be able to have the same type of presence on the basketball court. There's no reason why Penn State can't do that, and they've struggled with doing that for a while. I think we got a shot with this guy now. I think
you got a good head coach.
Yeah, we do.
And that's a decision right there by the quarterback, and they'll stop it after the first down, but that's Stevens once again with the read, deciding what's there and taking what is being given to him. And that's going against basically first-string defense.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad to see Stevens with that first-team offensive group to see what happens with him, because I think that would be, I think he'd have a pretty decent showing. I think he's fared well here.
He's done very well. He was throwing a lot in the first drive, and since then it's been a lot more running rather than throwing the football. First down there, and then this time handing off, and you take a look at Mark Allen, who has the white jersey on now, after running the blue jersey for the entire of the first half. And, you know, he's taking a couple of lumps today.
Big Antoine White, number 93, they just never got to him. Not a good job there in terms of blocking.
White is listed at 283. He's trimmed down and added some muscle over the course of this offseason. That throw down the middle is a good one. Maybe a little bit behind Danny Dalton, but the early enrollee hauls it in for a first down.
Yeah, but he saw it quick and got rid of the ball quickly, and then he was able to pick that thing up. That's a nice job by Dalton right down the middle. So he sees it quickly and throws the ball quickly. He had a defender coming back underneath, so nice read, nice throw.
It's again Allen to the outside, and he gets a couple into the blue team territory now with under 3.5 left here in this third quarter. If you're joining us late, running time for the final 3 quarters after they played with a stopping clock in the first.
Yeah, so just the difference you'll see with this offense when Saquon Barkley is in this lineup will be different.
Joining us late, Barkley did not play at all in this game.
He's had a big spring. He understands the offense better. He's seeing blitz pickups a lot better. He's seeing the holes and stuff better. He's faster. He's bigger. The weight room's done. You can see the difference in the kid, and you could see the confidence in Barkley. There's number 26 right there. He's had a great start as a freshman, and this will be a different offense when he's in it.
So now, when you take a look at what he's able to do, and then you've got the option for the quarterback, whether it be either one of these guys, either Stevens or McSorley, I've got to imagine that gives you a couple of different options as far as, you know, weapons that a defense is going to have to account for.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing, what it does is it slows your defense down.
That ball kind of left out there, and Dalton was set up to be hit on that throw that was kind of a floater from Stevens.
Yeah, and John Reed was happy to oblige. Watch him converge. Now, the difference between a good play and a great play is make the catch.
Got his hands on the ball, but Dalton couldn't hang on to it. Second down from the 38. And a switch coming in from the sideline. And through the middle. This is not a bad idea. Allen down to the 31-yard line. That's the kind of thing you said didn't happen when you were playing.
Yeah, that didn't happen. We had Matt Suey, number 26. He kind of did the same thing. Not as quick as this kid. A little stronger, but we had some great players. Kurt Warner, who in my opinion should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame.
Tremendous player.
Oh, he was phenomenal.
I really like what I'm seeing out of Stevens and the choices he's making.
Yep, his eyes. He's believing his eyes.
Yep.
Keep in mind he's working with the second group against the first group, and he's still having success. And that tells you one of two things: either he's having a very good day, or that defense is not as good as we think he's going to be.
How about if we believe part one?
Yeah.
First down at the 17-yard line now. This time he does hand it off, and Allen is taken down behind or at the line of scrimmage. Clock winding down. Time for another play here in this third quarter. Stevens out of the shotgun. A little bit of time right here. Decided to take it down. And wow, showed the presence of mind to not cross the line of scrimmage.
And get rid of the ball. Live for another day. Now what happened, he was looking for the tight end on a nod, and the linebacker got a good jam on the tight end, and he had to pull it down because he was looking right to the middle of the field.
Heady play. Yep. On the final play of the third quarter here at Penn State with the blue team on top big. We start the fourth quarter in the 2005 Orange Bowl team. Penn State Nittany Lions being honored on the field here today. Part of the more recent history of this program, and Franklin trying to make sure that that's all kind of tied together. How important is that to make sure that previous generations of players are all back as part of everything?
You know, that for me, I'm not that guy. So I'm not one of those. I don't go back to, I don't know why. I think once it's happened, so I moved on. But I do think it's important.
You understand that question was set up to be Scott, it's very important.
It was. Thing. I know it was.
No, I'm just asking, you know.
Let me put it this way.
I asked the wrong guy that question.
Exactly. There are those guys who actually love to do that stuff, and I'm not one of them.
To start the fourth quarter now. And the white team with a third down at the 16-yard line. Note to self, do not invite Millen for Christmas.
I'm a foul one.
A little bit of a floater of a pass, and Garrity can't haul it in as it's knocked down at about the 10-yard line, bringing up fourth down.
Nice break by John Reed. So they moved John Reed into that nickel spot. And I mentioned that earlier, and I think that's a natural fit for him. He's got good instincts on the inside, and that's hard to find. That's hard to find for a guy who can play that inside.
We'll find out how that works out for the sophomore out of Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Fourth down, they're going for it. And Stevens throwing. Got it on his man, and Garrity said, wait a minute, where's the flag? I got hit. No flag. Sorry, son. And the clock continues to run as he'll switch up.
Well, he had enough time. Schwann is giving him late pressure, but the coverage was there the whole time.
Malik Golden was there in that coverage. Now Stevens going to switch things over.
Yeah, this is good.
Play both ways. There's the schedule that you were talking about, and it hits pretty hard pretty early.
Well, the Pittsburgh Panthers had themselves a pretty darn good year a year ago, and
so did Temple.
And so did Temple. And both those teams are not the old pushovers they used to be. The Michigan Wolverines are back. Nice job by Jim Harbaugh. Minnesota, Tracy Claeys did a good job a year ago, and I think they'll be a little bit better. Maryland has a new head coach. You know, Ohio State is Ohio State. That's not going to be an easy schedule. There's going to be tough to find wins there.
The team that jumps out at you from that in terms of their change last year was Michigan, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Had themselves an incredible year. Now, this is what it's like playing with the first team offense for Stevens.
Yeah, exactly. And he's able to find guys down the field.
Brandon Polk, as he created a little extra time for himself, and allowed Polk to get a little separation.
Yeah, just by that time with his feet, and he can do that. He did it earlier. He's been doing it all game.
A little bit more time to work.
Nice throw.
And throw in time for another first down.
I liked his eyes right there. I like his decision making. Yeah, he saw the hole open right away. You're sitting down between, safety over the top, a corner on the outside. Just find that hole and boom, ball's right there. Well done.
Tommy Stevens has been really impressive here today.
Yeah.
Very good command of what it is that the quarterback position in this offense needs to be doing. It's Andre Robinson with the carry down to the 41. Let's go back down to the field to Brian Tripp.
All right, Scott, we have the quarterback of that 2005 Orange Bowl team, Michael Robinson, here with us. When you look back, when the fans look back, what do you hope is remembered about that 2005 team and your career?
Well, first of all, for the 2005 team, I hope that restored tradition is about the 2005 team. We really had a chip on our shoulder about people doubting Joe Paterno, people doubting this program, people laughing at us. And so we knew as sure as the sky is blue that we weren't going to lose many games that year, and it worked out our way. And as far as that season to my career, Joe always told me, you're going to be known around here for a very long time, and that season just cemented my place in Penn State history.
You spoke earlier this week about getting to know Coach James Franklin and his staff a little bit better as alumni. What are your impressions of his vision here for Penn State?
Oh, man, it's awesome. It's big. It's different from what I'm used to as far as Joe Paterno, but it's needed. He has a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement. The players seem to respond to him. And I think he's doing it the right way, especially taking the names off the jerseys. That's something that, as an alumni, as a letterman, as a Penn State fan, this school needed.
Well, you scored a lot of touchdowns here. We just saw one. Thanks.
Thank you.
Michael Robinson, back to you, Scott.
Another guy named Robinson, Andre Robinson, with that score down the right side, showing very good patience. We told you about what it is that Andre Robinson did in high school, and right there,
that's
just
good
wait
patience,
for your block.
and that's good burst right there. That's well done.
So is Barkley there? Is Robinson a guy who can come in for X number of carries a game and give you kind of a different look?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think all those guys. Then they have a freshman coming in from Pittsburgh. His name escapes me right now, but everybody said he's the real deal. So we'll see.
Blue team pouring it on with a little bit more than 7 minutes left to go here in the spring game at Penn State. Yards and 80 touchdowns at Bishop McDevitt in high school. No opportunities put up stats last year. You got to imagine that behind Saquon Barkley, he will get that opportunity this year.
Oh, he'll have a chance to touch the football. There's no doubt about that. Especially this offense with the pace they run, and they like to roll people in and out. And Andre Robinson, just a sophomore, freshman actually, just a sophomore with freshman eligibility. So he's 215 pounds. He's got, like you said, he's got runner's patience and a nice ability to be able to burst like we just saw. All those things will serve him well.
Now, in this offense, again, I keep drawing comparisons back to what people have seen of this offense at the collegiate level. I keep going back to Chip Kelly at Oregon, that type of thing, although it's not the same. Is there an importance of any kind for the back to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because we haven't seen a lot of that today.
No, you haven't, but you will. I mean, it's set up all the time. They'll run that back out to the flat, and it's 1, 2, 3. He's the third receiver. So if the defender jumps him, it opens up something behind. If he sits back, they'll dump it off underneath. And I would expect that Barkley, who I think has very good hands and has had a good spring catching the football, he'll excel there. Robinson will excel there. Allen will excel in that role as well. So, there's a lot of good things to get excited about here. It just has to all come together for this team. The biggest pieces still are going to be in the defensive line and the interior of that offensive line. Then I think Andrew Nelson, they moved over to left tackle. I think he's healthy, and that helps them. Paris Palmer goes to the right side. He just needs to have some consistency. And it's just a learning curve. And then how fast you can do it, because the schedule is not easy.
Billy Fessler nearly got a pick six on his first throw of the day. And it was there for the taking for Jordan Smith, and he just could not come up with the grab with nothing but green grass in front of him. Registration is now open for the 2016 BTN Big 10K. Represent your Big Ten school on August 6th in Chicago. 10K and 5K races include a post-race fan fest that includes Big Ten mascots, food, and more. Register today at btnbig10k.com.
That food part interested me.
And did you know that you're sitting next to a lifetime voting member of the Mascot Hall of Fame?
You are?
I am.
What does that get us?
Some of the free food that was there. Yes. That and $5 usually gets me over one of the bridges in Philly.
Exactly.
Third down, the throw to the outside, and a good one to Garrity, who breaks a tackle. And he's got a first down into blue territory at the 48-yard line. Let's go back down to Brian on the field.
All right, thanks, Scott. We're here with Director of Athletics, Sandy Barber. Well, as an athletic director, you can't draw up a day like this, but you sure hope for one. What's it like having everyone back in town for Blue White Weekend?
Well, obviously a beautiful day in Happy Valley, but what's even more incredible is the entire Penn State nation coming back, convening, connecting around Blue White Weekend. It's great to have all our NFL guys. Obviously a great day to show off Penn State. A lot of great recruiting weekend for us. But it's another big family reunion and a great time for our community to connect.
Well, every time everyone walks into this stadium, they're wondering about its future. What's the latest you can provide for us as an update on that?
We're about 2/3, 3/4 of the way through our facilities master plan. It's been on all 19 of our facilities, but certainly the largest of which is Beaver Stadium. I don't think it's any secret that the analysis has yielded renovate is far preferable, will yield better results than a new stadium. So we're focused now on what that renovation might look like.
Well, we really appreciate it. Thank you. And good luck in the fall when it gets here.
Absolutely. Thanks to BTN for being here. Appreciate it very much.
Sandy Barber, the athletic director at Penn State, with us here on the sideline.
Sandy talking about not only this stadium and what's going to happen in the future, but the importance of family coming back again. Did you hear what she was saying?
I did hear that.
Okay, I'm just saying. Billy Fessler getting his opportunity to run the offense, a sophomore out of Erie, Pennsylvania, in Cathedral Prep.
Good wrestling up there, Cathedral Prep.
Yep.
Of course, Pennsylvania is a great wrestling state, and Penn State University won the national champion title again. Gail Sanderson and his group had 2 national champions. I love wrestling. It's a sport that I follow a lot.
Did you wrestle at all?
No, I never wrestled.
So basically what you're telling me, I'm finding out more and more about you. You basically played football and that was it.
Well, I was good at eating. That I was good at, yeah.
That throw right down to seam. He had the open receiver in Dalton and just a little bit too tall on the throw from Fessler. And he's closing seconds. He'd love to get a crack at the end zone. He's running out of time with less than a minute and a half left to go.
You had him open. Those are things. You have opportunities. You got to take advantage of them.
Jake Zembick, other quarterback, out for today. Torrance Brown, a good job of getting a hand up in a passing lane right there and flicking that one away.
He's got a pretty good game today, whether he's in white 19 or blue 19. Played pretty well. They need that. They need another guy to step up. They need somebody in that rotation to have some consistency, making some plays.
So closing seconds and a 3rd down for the white team. Trying to figure out a way to get on the board. And that check down is there as Allen takes it inside the 30 down to the 29. 4th down, you will imagine with time running out, they'll go for it.
And Dan Johnson on the stop.
Mark Allen, a very active day today on both sides. With the blue jersey on in the first half, the white in the second half, and he gets the carry here. He gets 1st down yardage and maybe one more crack at it with 12 seconds to go. Yeah, they're going to call for the timeout to run another play.
Call for the timeout, but the clock didn't oblige.
There will be no timeout.
Now it
is. There you go. Billy Fessler, whose mom is a Penn State graduate, will get one more crack at seeing if he can walk away with some blue-white game glory. They put 1 second back on. It's 7 seconds now. From the diamond to the field and everywhere else in between, we keep you up to date on everything going on around the Big Ten. This week in the Big Ten, tomorrow 9 p.m. Eastern on BTN. You know what they're going to do? They're going to try to get on the board via the field goal. That's what they're going to do.
And why wouldn't they, really?
Don't want a goose egg on the white side of the scorecard, right?
I will say this. This is one area that this team really needs to develop. Their kicking game was subpar a year ago, and this is going to be a big piece of how well they do in this kicking game.
Tyler Davis from 42, wide left. Now the final play of the game. Well, here's the United States Marine Corps leader of the game, Trace McSorley. 23 out of 27, 281 yards and 4 scores. Guy was trying to win the starting quarterback job. Certainly made a case here today.
Yeah, he really did. He did some nice things. And the most important part is as the game went on, he got better. So he got more comfortable, he got more confident, and it showed.
His last touchdown throw was his most impressive play of the day. As he stepped up in the pocket, waited and found the open receiver. 37-0. The blue team with the win here today in the annual spring game. 7-0 the final. The blue team the victory here today. And the head coach is standing by on the field with Brian Tripp.
Thanks, Scott. All right, Coach, now that you're through 15 practices this spring, how would you evaluate the way the spring went?
I thought we got a lot out of it today. We stayed healthy. We got a lot of real good game reps in the stadium. I thought both quarterbacks did some really nice things and were efficient. I thought Kevin Givens showed up on the defensive line making plays. So I thought overall we had a great spring. We got accomplished what we needed to get accomplished, but we got a lot of work to do before the season.
What area do you want to see that improvement come in? What area most do you want to see that improvement in as you head into the fall?
I think the biggest thing is we got to get some guys back from a health perspective, give us depth at linebacker, not having Naeem Wortman or Brandon Bell, two of our better players this spring. We didn't even use Saquon Barkley in the spring game. We know what he's able to do. So depth at D-tackle, depth at linebacker is going to be important for us, and then solve still some of our competitions that we got going on across the board.
We didn't get to see a lot of special teams today, obviously, but heading into the fall, how do you improve that unit?
Well, we got a bunch of work this spring. We spent a lot of time during spring ball improving in those areas. We got to kick the ball more consistently. We got to punt the ball more consistently. We got to kick off more consistently. We got 2 guys coming in that we recruited that will help there from a competition standpoint.
Coach, thanks. We'll see you in the fall.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
James Franklin with us down here on the field.
And a happy head coach from what he saw in a lot of different aspects of not only just today, but the rest of the spring practice schedule here at Penn State. 37-0. The blue team wins it. We'll be back to wrap it up right after this.